that Prescott Bush, the grandfather of George W. Bush, and George Herbert Walker, his maternal great-grandfather for whom his daddy is named, were Nazi traitors to the country who should have been tried for treason.
When the president does it, that means that it is not illegal. Because people have got to know whether or not their president's a crook. Well, I'm not a crook. So I have concluded that because of the Watergate matter...
In 1980, conservative Republicans knew there was something deeply troubling about the Nixon establishment within the Republican Party, although most grassroots Republicans knew only that he had turned out to be a crook, and much of what he had said publicly had been nothing more than lies. In an attempt to rid themselves of the Nixon legacy, they nominated Ronald Reagan to establish a clean break with the past and start a new beginning. But that break was only surface deep. Ronald Reagan was persuaded to select George Bush as his vice presidential candidate, and as a result, brought the Nixon establishment back into power with him. Some believe, actually running his administration. In 1985, during the middle of the Reagan years, a plan was hatched to start a conservative news network. Something that most conservatives would welcome with open arms, feeling their views were not sufficiently represented in mainstream media. The creation of this news network was financed by wealthy Australian media tycoon, Rupert Murdoch. Roger Ailes, a Nixon establishment political operative, was personally selected by Murdoch to head the programming of this news network, which began operations October 7, 1996. When Time Warner bought out Ted Turner's Turner Broadcasting, a federal antitrust consent decree required Time Warner to carry a second all-news channel in addition to Time Warner's own CNN. Time Warner selected MSNBC as the secondary news network, instead of Fox News. Fox News claimed that this violated an agreement to carry their channel and persuaded Mayor Giuliani to carry Fox News and Bloomberg Television on two city-owned cable channels. Giuliani used the city's legal department to file an action as New York City and threatened to revoke Time Warner's cable franchise for not carrying Fox News. A counter-lawsuit was filed by Time Warner against the City of New York, claiming undue interference and for inappropriate use of the city's educational channels for commercial programming. News Corporation countered with an antitrust lawsuit against Time Warner for unfairly protecting CNN. This led to a very acrimonious battle between Murdoch and Turner, with Turner publicly outing the people behind Fox News as Nazis. In response, Murdoch's New York Post ran daily full-page ads claiming Ted Turner was insane. Giuliani's own wife was actually a producer at the Murdoch-owned Fox News affiliate, WNYW-TV in New York. Ailes used his connections with New York City Mayor Rudolph Giuliani to get Fox News on the New York cable system, which was owned by Time Warner, through the force of political blackmail, turning the office of Mayor of New York City into a tool for personal gain and private political agendas. And thus Fox News was born. From its very inception, people have identified Fox News and its original organizers as having had a private agenda of Nazi fascism both in behavior and ideology with the channel. But the dire early warnings that this organization was being created by World War II Nazi fascists were dismissed as nothing more than business rivalry. But, after seeing Fox News broadcast Nazi historical perspective, organize Nazi allegiances, and apply Nazi disinformation technique on its audiences for over a decade, perhaps those early protests by American businessmen were more than just rivalry. Perhaps they should have been taken seriously. Perhaps Ted Turner was not insane after all, as Fox News has made it more than clear in their decade of broadcasting. They really are in fact a Nazi propaganda organization operating with impunity and a U.S. taxpayer-funded FCC license right here in America. and their goal has been all along the Nazification of mainstream Americans into right-wing Nazi political ideology, which can be now traced all the way back to Richard Nixon, George H. Bush and the infamous American Nazi and Hitler financier Prescott Bush.
That Prescott Bush, the grandfather of George W. Bush, and George Herbert Walker, his maternal great-grandfather for whom his daddy is named, were Nazi traitors to the country who should have been tried for treason.
For the first time, a former member of Rupert Murdoch's management team has claimed she was told by a higher-up that the purpose of Murdoch's money-hemorrhaging newspaper, the New York Post, was to, quote, destroy Barack Obama.
Mr. President, I want to believe, I want to trust, I want to hope for change, but I am really failing to see how this is any different.
But he's not going to succeed. Socialism has failed.
Our country's less safe today.
Obama declared the end to the war on terror.
Is this the change that America voted for?
You can't break all your campaign promises.
To start with this blame America.
People, we have to have the conversation of, do you want socialism or not? Do you want universal health care or not?
Is this a pre-9/11 mentality?
Liberal utopian visions.
March to socialism.
Take this country as far left.
We hear about change. There's no change in this group.
End of capitalism as we know it, Bill of 2009.
Barack Obama was elected mostly by black, racist, and white guilty people.
And now it's not parents who are going to take care of kids anymore. It's Uncle Nanny.
Some are wondering if the honeymoon is already over.
We're starting to look at fascism.
He went on a jihad against lobbyists.
Closer to Jimmy Carter.
Closer to communism. The new socialist regime addicting this country to heroin.
He's a one-term guy.